All right, everybody, thanks for coming out to B-Sides again. And thanks for sticking around for the end for our last talk before we wrap things up at 5 o'clock. So it is 4:30, you're in the black room, and we're about to hear from Joe Mast. He's going to talk to us about red and blue team tips for crypto mining in your environment. Let's all give him a hand.
Thank you, everyone, for staying so long. I really appreciate it. I know it's the end of the day. But we'll start the talk off with, does anybody happen to know the characters in the upper right-hand corner, or your left, sorry? And if you do, could you raise your hand, just so I know who's, okay, good. All right, so that show is Ed, Edd n Eddy, and the plot of that show every time is there's a scam, they try to go out and they try to get free money from all their friends. When I started researching this talk, to me it sounded like one of their scams, but it turned out this scam actually works, and you can get free money from crypto mining on your works infrastructure. So today we're going to talk about some tips you can do to do it better, how you can protect against it, and how much money you can really make. All right, so who am I? My name is Joe Mast. I work for Federated Investors. My undergrad's from Slippery Rock, and I'm doing my master's at Western Governors University. I have some interest in cryptocurrency, cybersecurity, usually breaking things, asking a lot of questions, traveling, and those are my cars. So if you're into cars, let me know. I always like to talk about those as well. So if you don't know anything about crypto mining, I'm just going to give you a brief background about what cryptocurrency is, and as well as what mining is. Cryptocurrency is just basically, it's a digital currency. It's not regulated. It's decentralized. I'm sorry, it is regulated. It's just decentralized, and it's regulated by an encryption algorithm. And there's no central bank to distribute or operate the currency, i.e. it's just magic internet money, so you can have fun with that. As well, where does it come from? The short answer is it's distributed by a miner. And a miner just performs a complex math algorithm to verify transactions on the network. And by doing that work, they're rewarded with more coins. So they're provided the coins for the work that they put into the network. So some perspective, where are we coming from with this talk? I just want to give like an outsider's view again, where the perspective is that if this is an outsider, there's no key to this. It's mining by either malicious employees or an attacker or a red team. So we're talking about anybody who has access to your system or potentially could have access to it, and they're going to be attacking 1, your assets, 2, your power bill, and 3, your free air conditioning. So where's the best place to mine? Obviously anywhere with free power, right? Like a college dorm. We've been seeing that free power is best power. Think that all the time. Everything that's free, you want to take the best utilization of that you can. Colleges are cracking down on it. If you aren't properly logging and auditing your Amazon Web Services, they're also a great place to mine because it's really easy to set up new devices and spin up machines and instantly mine there. As well, any device that can really run code on it, you can also mine there pretty fast and easy. And of course, your works, desktops, workstations, and data center, because they're all climate controlled and maintained by other people other than yourself. So this is, in my opinion, and many others, starting to become like the new ransomware. We're seeing it. And why is there a shift from ransomware to cryptocurrency mining? We're seeing that because this guarantees a return. In most cases, I'm sorry, not most, but in some cases, people don't pay the ransom. It's not guaranteed. But if your cryptocurrency mining software does run, you're usually guaranteed some sort of return. As well, I've seen a lot of resources where botnets have been repurposed from doing malicious things to running cryptocurrency miners and then generating a slow profit for the owner. As well, popular ransomware tools have been repurposed. One such one was the Eternal Blue attack with WannaCry had been repurposed to WannaMine. So it's just, there's a lot of different tools out there. They all exist and they use the same vulnerabilities as regular ransomware tools. As well, it provides a long-term strategy for an attacker. And what that strategy provides is, with a ransomware, it's like a one hit, one done, you're out, you get your money and you leave. But with a long-term strategy here is you can mine over a long period of time and go hidden, and that's also how it draws less attention. You're just on the system and constantly draining and using resources to gain money for yourself over time. So mining costs money, and this is where I took into account for the power bill and analyzed it. I have a home lab right now with 2 Dell R710 servers, and what I did with this is an experiment to see how much money the power costs really did, or were for my month, right? So I kind of took into account two different size firms, a small and a large. At the small firm, we had 250 workstations and 50 servers. And the average cost per day for a workstation was around a quarter, and for the servers it was around $2 a day in power. Over the course of the year, I ended up calculating that it was around $22,000 per year for all your workstations at a small firm, and around $36,000 a year for all the servers. Where it really starts to get serious is at a larger firm. The more workstations you have, obviously, it's going to cost a lot more. With 5,000 workstations, it's somewhere near $500,000 in power costs. As well, the more servers you have, they definitely cost a lot more. So it's almost $750,000 in power for 1,000 servers. And this is just an assumption that you're getting a commercial rate of power. If you're doing this at your house or something along those lines, it's going to be even worse, and your rates are going to be way higher than this. And this doesn't take into account air conditioning, maintenance, and other things related to maintaining your own hardware. So how easy is it? Can you click run and paste your wallet address? That's really how easy it is to run some JavaScript miners in the browser. They're honestly just, if you can load a web page, you can load a miner. It's so easy a baby could do it. For more dedicated miners, you might have to run an executable on an endpoint, but there's not really much configuration just to get it up and running. To optimize it, yes, there's more configuration and need for permissions, but you can usually get it running in an environment where there's not a lot of protection. As well, things you need to mine, it's just internet, a device that works, and a boredom or need for some free money. So free money is best money. What are we talking about? We're going to take into account the small firm we saw earlier, and with that small firm we had 50 servers and 250 endpoints. This is where things started to get serious, and you can see there's actual returns generated and why someone might want to do this. So with the server, we're looking at a hash rate of 300 hashes per second, and that's very conservative and low for an average grade server just doing CPU mining. As well, this workstation accounts for just an 8-hour day, so that's why you can see the daily yields are lower for the workstation. So I mined 2 different coins in my lab on the servers and the workstations that I had, and the daily yield for the the Monero was 18 cents, and Zcash was 62 cents, which is quite profitable at the time, still is. On the workstations as well, since we're just planning for an 8-hour workday, I was able to earn around 5 cents and 17 cents for Zcash. Where this really comes into effect is if you can do this for a long period of time for over a large amount of assets. $3,000 to $5,000 is nice, and so is Zcash's $15,000 to $11,000. But it's not something crazy, and I don't think I would want to lose my job over that much money. But where this is the small fry rate, this is like you have a small organization, you take over it, but it's still a lot of money for people to go mine for, right? So this is the small fry, but wait, there's more. The large firm is where the returns really come out. What these numbers is they grow largely. So at the same hash rates, we're getting the same yield depending on your assets. If you can control, obviously, as you can see here, 1,000 servers, for Monero, that's $65,000 a year at current market rates, which are pretty low right now. As well for Zcash, that's $226,000 a year, which is some serious change if you can do that on all your endpoints. And this is just a very unoptimized mining level. As well for our workstations, it's almost $100,000 a year and $300,000 a year for Zcash, and that's some serious Lambo money. You can go out and buy anything you want with that. I can see why people have been mining on their works infrastructure. And this is just to get you to think about, 1, it's possible. 2, it has serious returns. 3, just if you can do it, it's easy and simple to run. And there's obviously money to be made here. So with this, there's broad attack surfaces. I know we before mentioned that the web browsers, but as well, with most of these miners, there's not much privilege access needed to make them run, at least from a basic standpoint. As well, you can mine in the browser via JavaScript if you're not blocking that. And another friend of mine proposed an idea, and I've seen attacks made for it, where web proxies are attacked and then used to inject the JavaScript directly into users' browser pages. As well, Internet of Things devices have been used and manipulated to mine consistently because no one's really checking on them or looking at what they're doing all the time. A popular attack that was just released was for Kindle Fire Sticks, Amazon Fire Sticks. As well as we've seen repurposed botnets just to go out and earn money for themselves and mine. And then we've seen a lot of from ransomware phishing to go to mining. And with that, it's been either a link to a web page with a JavaScript miner in it or an executable for some type of miner that runs on a browser page that's hidden in the background. So it's very easy to attack multiple surfaces with this. So Red Team, how can you make more money or do this better? When I was doing this, I just pretended it was malware in my environment, my test environment. Most antivirus software thought that it was, or at least a malicious item. And in order to get it to run, in some cases I used obfuscation techniques. I used PE Scrambler to obfuscate the executable and then run it, and it got past most signature-based antivirus software. As well, tuning was important. If you have really good server admins that are always on there and understand the utilization of your servers and when they should be working hard and not, you can tune around within most miners, such as reducing how much CPU power it uses, and as well having it only work during normal work hours so it doesn't look odd. And on mobile clients, you can as well work to work towards battery power so that it doesn't look odd. If it gets below 20%, maybe it stops mining, things along those lines. As well, you can tune your phishing attacks. You don't need to go dropping executables on somebody's thing. You can just go and drop a JavaScript infected link and mine via the browser there. If they just click on it, you're going to make some sort of return. As well, almost all miners were able to be loaded via SMB shares, just like normal malware. If your antivirus software doesn't know how to scan those, it was very simple to load those in most of my lab environments. Blue Team, what can you do to prevent and detect this? At first, I would definitely say that your company should have a formal stance established against this. Or it doesn't have to be exactly crypto mining, but maybe a hardware or software abuse. And if you don't have that already, you should definitely have one drafted. As well, you can employ a next-gen firewall. And with that, it's great to have a next-gen firewall, but you should be using the tools that it has on it and implement them, such as URL filtering or SSL interception or decryption. As well, you should employ an intrusion detection system, keep it updated, and ensure that somebody's actually reading the alerts that it produces. It's great to have it, again, but you should pay attention to what it's doing. It's probably doing a good job. And then, as well, implement a strong antivirus or ERD solution and update it, keep it updated with rules and IOCs, and just watch it. As well, you can check out this CoinBlockerList tool, and what that CoinBlockerList tool does is it produces a list of IPs which all contain every known CoinHive JavaScript miner that's built into the browser. And you can use that to implement, it downloads as a text file. You can upload that to your tools and then block those IP addresses for those web addresses. As well, you can patch your browsers and install browser plugins if you don't have any other protections. And some of those plugins are NoCoin and MinerBlock, and what they'll do is they have known mining signatures in them, and then they'll just block those scripts from running. As well, talked before, one of the ways I was able to get most mining software to run in my labs and other areas I've played with is through attached storage or shares. If your antivirus software or ERD solution isn't configured properly to scan that, it's very simple to just have it run through there. So I found a lot of evil if you just scan most attached storage or shares. There's lots of interesting things out there, and you should probably be doing that. And as well, you should have a process to properly validate your firewall rules and what's going on there. If you're not properly validating, checking the configuration, or seeing what's going on, how do you know what's really happening on your firewall? So there should be some sort of audit function, third party, that knows what's going on there. As well, just before we wrap this up, I wanted to go over some recent news. There's some interesting links. For the first one is the Georgia Department of State. Some man mined over $300,000 in Zcash, I think it was, and he was caught. He was asked to leave. He never actually got fired, and he ended up keeping the money too. So that sounds pretty sweet to me. For the second one it was just a post on Stack Overflow. A colleague found that his friend was mining on the company resources, and he was asking what to do. The comments are great if you read that one. And then the last one is a Russian guy he went missing. He was mining on supercomputers at a Russian state university. And then just to go over again some pros and cons here. It's free money. why there's no reason not to do it, and it's pretty simple and easy to install. You just Google how to mine, you can probably figure it out pretty simply. And some cons, if your environment's set up right, you might need privileged access to do this more properly as well. If your firewall's set up well, you might need to whitelist something in there, but if you have access to it, it could be easy to do, and you might get fired. I haven't really seen many cases where people got fired, though. So just things to think about. And just things to leave you with. Again, it's easy to do. You should have a policy against this, and free. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? What's up?
Are there any easy network indicators such as ports or traffic protocols?
Yes, there are. I don't know them off by heart, but I know that in most firewalls, there's the ability to, I know in Palo Alto, there's signatures for it that you can enable to block and with URL filtering and SSL decryption. Right. Application filtering too. Anybody else?
For install an app that was mining, is there like a IOC list for maybe like polls that they would communicate to?
Yes, there is an IOC list. One of my friends was talking about a tool that you can download it, and what it'll do is it'll give you a list of all the IP addresses to known pools, and then you can block those because they're all communicating back out to those pools. But there is known public things that you can go and download to produce an IP list for you to implement into your tools to block known miner pools. All right, thank you, everyone.